What's going on, everyone? Marty here from Père Extrême, and
Pierre from Outdoor Therapy.
and welcome to another episode of Talk to Me, Brother, where basically Pierre, Antoine, and I are going to be talking shit for an hour to 2 hours about the outdoors. And today we have a very special episode where we're going to basically go back in time to last summer, to when we did our 4-day portaging trip in the Algonquin Park. You can find that trip video actually on my channel.
Yeah.
At the time, I don't think you were recording already. No, you weren't doing it yet. So that's too bad, because that was a fantastic trip. And today we're gonna go through basically the entire trip from start to finish, how we prepped, because a lot of people a lot of times don't even know. You know, it's one thing to go on a canoe trip or on a hiking trip or anything like that, but they have no idea even how to get there. Where are the places that you can go? What should you do to get started? How do you plan for these? And, and we did kind of, during that preparation, we certainly overestimated our route, basically, right? So it was a difficult route, and we did make some changes along the way.
We did,
but we'll get into that. But and this is something that you and I, even us, I would say that we're pretty experienced by now. We're constantly too eager in the trips, like in the planning phase, right? So we'll always say, like, let's climb 12 mountains this weekend.
We're good to overshoot our goals.
Yes,
we are.
But we're good to overshoot our goals, but we never find ourselves stranded, because there's always how do they call those?
There's a backup plan.
Backup plan, but like in the army, remember Goggins and his
oh yeah, well, you gotta have a
backstop, it's called.
I think it's a backstop. You look at your map and if I reach this point, I went too far, I gotta back up. That's what it is.
Yes, that. And if I get an ambush, right? So when you go out at war and you're in a mission, you get ambush. I have 4 other ways to exit that plan as well, right? So we do always account for that, but our initial route is always quite ambitious, right? But that's the fun of it.
That's the fun, exactly.
That's the fun of it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Like, why would you go on a trip if it's not to be a solid, epic adventure? If it's not worth talking about it, don't do it.
You want to ride. See, the way I always look at it is I always want to ride the line between way too hard and dangerous to, like, you know what I mean? I always want to be right on the line, because I know that in the moment I'm like, what the fuck? Why did I do this? Why am I here, right? And then I'm just like struggling and moving forward. But then when I come back, I'm like, dude, it's going to be such a good story to tell. I like that line. Yes. And that's also how you get better anyways. Like, let's be honest, that's the only way you push yourself to become better, right?
Well, you gotta push your skills. Well, you gotta learn your skills, but you gotta push them. You gotta test them. You gotta test yourself. That's the reason. One of the reasons, though, I enjoy doing those trips. It's just to push myself, to see where is my limit and how can I push it further. How can I push it further? And I thrive in this. I don't know if you do. I'm pretty sure you do. I'm pretty sure you're like me and you do. But I thrive in this. Like, people are asking me, "Fuck, why? Why would you go on a canoe camping trip knowing it's going to be like 7 degrees Celsius, raining all the time with a shitload of wind?" And I'm like, because this is my definition of happiness. Like, this is where I'll be super happy to be. Like,
it's one of those things that only people that do it can understand it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the you and I had that conversation before. That's one of the major reasons we get along so well, is because it takes a certain kind of person to even want to put yourself in those situations.
Absolutely.
To push yourself, right? And I mean, like, let's be honest, none of what we do is that extreme.
No, let's really be honest. Like, we're not doing Alvarez right now. Yeah, but the point is, I believe that anyone who's in the outdoor, for, like, not car camping, like, go outdoor, go
in the wilderness.
For real, in the wilderness. I think everyone got that little grit spirit. No,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
you want to be
It's gotta
dirty.
hurt a little bit.
It's gotta hurt a little.
It's gotta chafe a little bit.
You have to deserve your beer at the end of the day by the pipes. You know,
Absolutely.
That's what you need. So I think it's pretty interesting that you started saying like you gotta plan your route. You gotta plan your trip just before we go. And like I'm super proud because I'm wearing the official trip T-shirt right now. Like, I'm kind of disappointed you're not wearing yours, but that's okay.
Well,
I mean,
I
that's
don't know,
okay.
yeah. I can take my shirt off if you want to swap. Which one's better?
I'll keep it on.
This is a cool
keep
shirt.
it on. I'll be jealous
this
if you
is a
take
cool
it
shirt.
out.
Although I bought this in the States, it's way too big. But it's an Adirondack shirt, and it says New York State, never stop. Is it
never stop exploring?
Never stop exploring. I absolutely love this shirt, but believe it or not, this is a small.
Jesus Christ!
This is a freaking small shirt. You Americans, you're killing me. What is this? And then you buy in China and you buy like a quadruple X large and it doesn't fit me. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. Anyways.
You got to measure yourself. But the point is, we started that trip with something in mind. It's going to be you and I.
Yeah.
It's just going to be you and I because that's what we wanted to do. 4 days together on that in the Algonquin Park. And we were like figuring around because we were like, okay, we're one car. Like, we need to do a loop, right?
Yes,
that's
one
the
car.
So you need to do a loop because otherwise, how the heck do you go back to your car, you know?
So a couple of things is I was just coming out of a full year of building my house.
True.
Right? So I was I was moved into the new house like 2 weeks in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so I had spent a full year building the house. I barely had any time to go out in the outside because I just was working 7 days a week, you know, just all the time doing it. So that was like, for me, that trip was important because that was kind of like my comeback, right? That was like, I needed to come back and to do that. And a couple of things for me, like a lot of the outdoors has to do with doing, like, I do enjoy. And I don't have to be super honest, I don't have a ton of solo experiences. I have a handful, but I really enjoy experiencing the outdoor with you, like with a friend, with someone. Buddy. And mainly, like, it's one of those things that I bring a lot of people on their first trips. So I'm used to like having to do everything all the time. But then when I go out with, but when and I'm always happy to do that. But then I go out with you and then I'm like, oh, I don't have to tell him what to do. I can just sit for a while. It's a big difference, right? And we can focus on miles. We can focus on distance. We can focus on things that are a lot more technical.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's fun. Like, that's just super fun. So for me, it's like, okay, well, I don't want to drive. My point is, I don't want to drive because when you plan the car, where you park the car, when you come out, where you start, where you come out is important. But when I go out camping with you, I don't want to drive in 2 separate cars for 4 hours.
No.
Like, I just don't. Like, I just like a major part of the fun. Like, and that's where all these like ideas of podcasting come from, are crazy conversations in the car.
In the car, absolutely.
Right? And I'm like, this is so precious to me. And even though we're going to spend 12 hours on a canoe together, we never run out of shit to tell each other. Like, seriously. And I mean, sometimes we're in silence and it's fine, but I mean, it's just the conversations are too valuable to me. So like, when you're first thing first, when you, like you were saying, when you plan a trip, where you park your car, where you start and where you come out will dictate a lot of things. And, you know, I'm really hoping one day we'll be able to cross, you know, and it'll most likely happen, but do like an across the Algonquin Park for like 10 days. For sure. One end to the other together. And the day that happens, we're going to have to drive 2 different cars. But like, honestly, like,
now, the day it happens, we're driving 2 different families.
Yeah.
So the girls and the kids at one base camp. And when we're done crossing, they come pick us up.
Yeah, we could do something like that too. But that is certainly a first point. And most of the times the routes will allow you to loop without doing too much of the same route, right? Because you might have to do the last handful of like kilometers the same.
Yeah, you got to repeat the route at one
right,
point,
just at one point.
Probably the
But
same lake to end.
Yeah,
Same lake that you began will end with. Yeah.
Depends too. Like, are you willing to portage? Do you just want to stay in the one lake and go around? Are you going down a river? Which down a river, there's
you don't
no
come.
other way.
You don't come back. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no other way than to have some kind of like car situation where someone's got to either drop you at the top and your car's at the bottom or whatever that might be. But this is always something to consider. And then once you're like, well, you know, for us, it's always like, well, we want to drive together, so we're going to do a loop. It just answers the question for us, right? It's like, it's just what it is. Then you look at the different routes or the different parks, and we're pretty lucky. Like, we're pretty darn lucky where we are. You and I don't have anything in our backyards, really.
No.
But we have everything within like 3 hours of drive.
Yeah, I was about to say 2 to 4 hours.
2 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty solid for outdoor people.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. It's so easy to say, like, you can plan it really well. You take a Friday afternoon off, right? So you can be all packed on Thursday night. You go to work, right? We both work downtown. Well, I work downtown Ottawa. You work on the East End. But like from there at noon, we could meet somewhere and just go, right? Whether we go north, south, the Adirondacks, the Algonquin Park,
Quebec side, if we wanted to,
Crown
Land.
Yeah,
everything is up for the grab. So that's it. That's good. So remember, when I said we were planning a trip, the two of us.
Yes. So one car, loop situation, and then a plan. What's the saying again? A plan never survive first contact. Is that what it is? That sounds about right.
First contact happened before we leave.
That's right. Good.
So I was talking with Big Al, and people are going to start knowing Big Al for sure.
They're going to know him for sure.
For sure. So I was talking with Big Al, and I was telling him, I'm going on this camping trip with Marty. That's going to be awesome. He's like, oh, I'm going on a solo camping trip. Where are you guys going? I'm like, oh, we're going in. And Algonquin is like, shit, me too. Where are you guys leaving? Like, what door? Because on Algonquin Park, right, you got to choose the door you're going to start at. I think there's 12.
Yeah. And they call them doors, but they're just like, call them trailheads
waypoint,
or launch point in the water, right? Yeah.
But they call them doors. So I was like, I think we're starting at 12, something like that. He's like, oh, I'm starting at 6. I'm like, what's your route? And then he shows me his route, and I show ours, and I'm like, hey, buddy, we could meet. We could actually meet.
We could meet.
That'd be super cool. So that's the new plan. So now I'm telling you, buddy, we're gonna meet Big Al in the middle of the freaking park, which is huge, by the way. It's like the biggest park in Canada. So
is it?
It is. It is.
Is it actually? Oh,
I'm pretty sure
the largest
provincial park.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I'm
huge.
Assuming it is humongous. So I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So from there, we're like, okay, we're gonna start the morning.
Well, then we went
paddling.
to Al.
Yeah, we went to
Al's house just to an excuse to have a beer.
Yeah, and introduce you to. So guys, I don't think you've seen each other before, or maybe once. Can't remember actually. To be honest.
Yeah, no, because that was after the first time I met Al was when we went to the Adirondacks. Not this year.
The year before.
When I froze like 6 of my toes for like 6-7 months. Yeah. Yes.
Let's not go.
Let's not go there.
Let's not go there again.
It's still healing. So anyway, so we go meet Al at his house, and we just kind of look at our routes. We're like, okay, let's meet there.
Yeah.
Which was Otter Slide Lake, I believe.
Exactly.
And we were starting from Opeongo.
Yeah, the biggest lake of the park.
Biggest lake, and he was starting from, I'm going off memory. I think it's Canoe Lake. I'm pretty sure it's Canoe Lake. Yeah,
it is.
So
it is.
So he went Canoe Lake he was leaving one day early.
Yeah. Before we start,
what do you have?
Oh yeah, baby.
I've been nursing this little guy here.
I'm having a brew from my hometown, from Castle Brew, the Little Red.
And now, what are they doing? You were telling me before. Because the COVID-19, everybody's locked down. Nobody's allowed to go anywhere.
They deliver, people. I think we got that on Facebook or something. Like, we'll deliver. Just, we'll drop it in front of your house.
Yeah.
Go. Love it.
So, Opion Go at the start to Otter
you're going
Slide Lake.
before that.
Oh, sorry.
Before we go there, because we're insane, or we're teenagers in our mind. You choose, people. We had to start. We knew we had to start like Friday morning, like be on the lake at 7.
That's
something
right,
like that. And you got to know, people, it's a 4-hour drive. So we were like, that's that. We're not going to leave at 2 a.m. Like, this is no, we're not going to do that. So what's the next best thing? What about we just sleep in the parking lot?
In the car. I don't even know if you're allowed to do that, to be honest.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't see anything that said not to, but I'm sure that, if people started to pitch tents everywhere, they might not appreciate it.
Don't do what we do. I'm not accountable for that, but we did.
We totally did. Well, what's the best option if you want to leave at 7 anyways, right? There's no...
And there's no... It's not like, you could rent like a room in a cottage, or like you're in the middle of nowhere.
Though, actually. Isn't there?
Really?
At Opiungo, isn't there a handful of cottages there?
No.
Yeah, they have, right?
No.
I think so. I think I saw... Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Sleep in your car, people. Nobody cares.
They could do it in the 70s. Why can't I not do it now?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we slept in the car. The next morning, we went at it's not the ranger's office, but it's like
it's the outfitter.
It's the outfitter.
I think it's called Opiungo Outfitter. Yeah.
There you go. So because you got to tell them, like, okay, I'm gonna be
your permits.
Getting your permits. You need to tell them on which lake you're going to be sleeping, because they got to monitor, is there enough like campsite for them and numbers of people on that lake, and blah 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 blah, and pay your parking as well.
And that's when your planning becomes important, because you can't just go and say, I'll figure it out as I go. So when you actually have to have a route predetermined, and then the way the Algonquin Park works, they all work, all the parks work a bit different, but the Algonquin Park will be, I'm going to be sleeping in this region, right? So there's a lake, and let's say there's 18 camp spots, and then they keep count of how many people said they were going to sleep there, and then they cap it so that everybody's got a campground. Nobody has to stealth it. So you do have to come up with a route. So for us, we wanted to do a huge trip, right? That was our intention, to do a huge trip in terms of kilometers, and go borderline on the 100-kilometer on the loop, right? And so, and just to fast forward, just to give an idea to people, for 2 fairly seasoned, fairly strong paddlers, and we single carried every one of our portages. We did 29.
That's something you don't do. You're not supposed to do that on some of
Not everybody can do that. We did 29 kilometers that day in 12 hours, I think 8 minutes. Like, I remember it like to the T. That was my longest day. So like 30 kilometers, 12 hours, that's a lot. Like, just to give you an idea, right? Most people will probably want to aim at being like 6 hours in their canoe of the whole day.
Yeah.
So you're probably thinking, like, for people that are just starting out, like a 10K. A day, with perhaps a handful of, including your portages, right? Because portages can really delay you. They really delay you, period, actually.
Yeah.
So just to give an idea to people, but for us, we had I think 3 30-kilometer days. And we'll get into that.
And I'm like, it's not a good idea.
And out of the first day, like, of those 29 kilometers, 5 of those were portages, and people in the comments of the video that I put out, it's like, dude, did you go on a canoe trip or on a backpacking trip? Because we spent a lot of time on foot.
We did.
It's like, we portaged a lot.
But it could have been worse. It could have been twice as long.
Yeah.
Actually, it would have been 3 times as long, because you got to know, if you don't single carry, you do the portage 3 times.
Absolutely.
That's a lot more of walking, a lot more of cadence.
Especially for 2.5 kilometer portages, man. That makes them long. Like,
big time.
You know, like 2.5 kilometers I think it took us to single carry it once was 40 minutes. The first one, the big one, the 2.5 kilometer.
Yeah.
Something like that. So imagine it takes you, let's say you go a little lighter, it'll take you 35 minutes. That's one way. You got to come back 35 and then another 35 to go out. Like
it adds so
insane.
much.
Yeah, it does.
And it's funny because when we were talking with the gentleman at the gate, when we told them our plan, when we told them, okay, we'll start obviously at Opiengo and we're gonna sleep at Otterslide Lake over there. He's looking at the map, he's looking at us, and he's just like, no, gentlemen, this is not gonna happen. Like you're not gonna do this. It's insane. He starts by saying Opiengo takes about 4 to 5 hours to paddle, and then you hit the first portage that you will not single carry. It's 1.8K, I believe.
It's ridiculous.
And it's not a highway, people. No. It is not a nice portage. Like it is rugged. So you're right there, you're gonna be done. That's his mindset. Right there, you're gonna be done. And we're like looking at him, and we're, but I don't think you understand. We said Otterslide Lake. We mean Otterslide Lake. I don't know. Lake. Yeah, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. And we got lucky on one thing. I don't think you really mentioned it in your trip video, but the lake was really calm.
Well,
that made a huge difference.
I didn't talk about it this way, but it's pretty obvious that it's calm. Like because in the footage that I have, like but I didn't talk about it. But because
it makes a huge difference.
It only took us
2 hours, buddy. It took us 2 hours to do a penguin. I'm super proud of it.
3. But anyways, it doesn't matter.
2 hours.
We nailed that guy out right out of the park to start. But I mean, like it was glass. It was perfect. Yeah. I'd rarely seen a lake like that. And a lake like that'll take you 3 hours to paddle across. Like that's how big it is. Like it's easy to have some waves on a big lake like that.
Absolutely.
But here's the deal.
And we took a decision too. At the beginning, we were looking at the lake and we're like, okay, do we cross in the middle where if there's wave, if the wind picks up, it's going to be hell, or do we stick by the side and we'll make it like 2 times longer, but it's the safe way to go. And we like it a little bit on the line, you know? So
it was like visibility was from here to the end. Anyways, you could almost see the frig. It's such a big lake though.
Yeah.
But it was like a perfect blue sky.
So we just went in
mirror
the middle.
Perfect lake. Yeah, just right in the middle. And that brought us to the first portage, which was, I think, 1.5 kilometers. It might have been, or 1.8. It was just shy of 2 kilometers.
Yeah, and we met people that were like finishing it, and they were at the launch boat when we arrived, like at the end of the portage when we arrived, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you don't single carry this. It's insane. You don't single carry it." And we just look at each other, being like, "Challenge, we're single carry. We're gonna do this single carry, baby." And we did. Man. We took a 5-minute break because of me.
Well, we also,
like in the middle.
Yeah, but did we take the? I can't. Is that when we decided to swap position?
I think so.
Because what happens is first, okay. So for all the folks at home, I have a canoe that's just so heavy.
It's 90 pound. Your canoe is like 90 pound, but
we're doing this humongous route against all odds. Yeah. Like canoe wise, like it's just insanely, but it's what we have, right? And again, I love all of the outdoor channels out there and everybody doing all the gear reviews and all that. But like one thing that I find that we miss the boat on a lot, and that I try my best to just remind people whenever I talk to and whatnot, and hopefully this comes across in my videos, I don't have the most perfect gear. Yeah. You know what I mean? And look at all the stuff I do. My point is that if you're waiting to have all the perfect gear and you want to spend all that money, you might never go. So you gotta go with what you have and enjoy, because it's all about, first of all, you can modify your trips to fit your ability, but also the gear that you have, or you can just like freaking go, fuck it. We're going to go all, we're going to go all out. We're going to work hard and we're going to be super rewarded. We're going to be super happy at the end, right? And that's what we decided to do. So, but the canoe is like, got it, 90 pounds, 75 pounds, plus like, you know, the regular, I would say probably with food and water, 40 pounds, 35 to 40 pounds on my back. Yeah. We do tend to carry a lot more, you and I, than not. Just first off, because, you know,
we like it, we can do it.
Well, I mean, we like it, we can do it. We have the physical abilities to do it, yes. But also, it's like at some point, like I said, like I would love to be able to buy like the Helinox chair and save 2 pounds. I would love to, but you know, I bought the Trekology and it works fine. And why would I? You know what I mean? Like at some point, you just got to focus.
Choose your fight.
Doing and doing the activity is the most important part. Like going out, that's the part that means the most. That's where you get all the memories and you get all the gains from, right? Absolutely. So, but anyway, so the way we could portage this canoe is by having. You can carry it alone, but with your pack weight on top, it's almost ridiculous. So we would have someone at the bow, someone at the stern, right? Mm-hmm. And we would basically haul it. And what we didn't know is that the guy at the front is significantly heavier, or uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. And you took the front. I think you did almost the entire first portage, and then we swapped. I think that's when you're like, man, I think it's easier at the back, and then we swapped. Then we kept those positions for the rest of the trip. But
because you're a beast, sure. Yeah. You are a beast. Sure.
So,
but people gotta know. Marty's a beast.
So anyway, so we swapped position, and that's the only break we took. We didn't take a break. We swapped position.
Yeah. Basically.
You know what I mean? Like, plus the bugs are insane in those portages. Nobody stops. There's no stopping in a portage, man. You lose out of yourself faster than a mosquito can attach itself. Like, you know what I mean? Whatever the speed of travel you have to have so that a mosquito can attach to you, that's the speed you want.
Oh man, it's so true though. So we did that.
Yeah. So we were, and then I thought I lost you at the end of that portage.
Well, there's the thing we didn't say at the beginning. Exactly. Because people gotta know Marty likes to fast, and he likes to like fast like for 16 hours a day, like intermittent
20
fasting, 20 hours, whatever. And he's like, this morning we're just going, buddy. I'm like, what do you mean we're just going? Like, we're gonna have a coffee and he's like, go. Take a black coffee at the shop and go. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this I'm so not used to it. I'm used to my breakfast.
Yeah.
And man, I was like, Marty, we're having lunch. This is not a question. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, this is happening. We're having lunch.
I never saw
Get
you
your
go
mountain
quiet.
house delicacy ready. Actually,
you shoved that fucking that lasagna mountain house in your face like I never saw it. You didn't speak a word. No. You just set up your stove. You had your chair, and then you just and you inhaled that shit like it was.
I didn't want even. I'll
and then you came back.
Yeah,
and then you came back. Then you came back.
I needed energy, but you were eating your couscous, your yak couscous. You were like so proud to show me that you got the healthy couscous, and you were like, it tastes so freaking good. You had 3 bites in the bag though. Like honestly, there was nothing.
So small. It was so small. Talk about preparation. I did not have enough food for that trip.
No, you didn't.
And hopefully, you know what? Like we have people in the comments say to talk to kind of share what we do for food and all that. We could do that maybe on the next episode or whenever it comes up. But
I want to do that next episode.
After that trip, I was like, okay, I need to revisit my food strategy a little bit because if it wasn't for Al, who gave me a couple, I mean, I wouldn't have died. It's just like, it's uncomfortable to be that hungry, especially when you're going to travel 12 hours. I mean, the first day to fast on your first day, that's easy because you just came from eating like regular and not expending all that much energy. Then you go out, then you do all that traveling. Then I was just so freaking tired and I needed food, right?
Yeah, you did, buddy.
Yeah.
And your little
So anyways,
couscous there was not doing it.
God, it was so small. It's like 3 bites. I was like, okay, man.
It's an appetizer.
And the
That's
fast
what
continues.
And the fast continues with a smile on his face. And then we did a second lake, which I didn't really look properly at the map because I was not expecting a second big lake right away. And then it was like it was a big lake. It was like it took us an hour.
It was a decent sized lake, yes.
Yeah.
And then we had an awesome UFO conversation on that lake. I'll never forget it.
Definitely.
I'm a believer.
What is a believer?
I don't know what the fuck's going on out there, but they're just fun conversations to have.
They are.
But
they are.
But anyways, it was bigger. The thing is, it's so hard to tell from the map.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's so hard to tell. And you tried to calculate with your rope and all that, but I think it felt that much bigger because the first one took a lot out of us. Like, we should tell people, if you're not, there's a service that you can use at Opeongo. It's called the taxi, the water taxi. And for me, I mean, like, my ego, Yeah,
there's no way I'm touching that, buddy. I'm not going.
A hard time with this, but it's there for. First of all, if you want to go much deeper in the park, it's a great head start. It really is a great head start. And if you want to go a little further, because Opeongo is quite busy, you've got motorboats on there. You've got I think they do their plane tour from there, right? That's where they land. That's where they leave to do like float plane rides just to show the park.
The park. Yeah.
If you want to kind of go out, but like you don't have the energy or the fitness level to paddle this whole thing, plus do the portaging, you can take the taxi. And to be honest, the second lake I don't think is really as big as it felt a lot bigger.
I think it wasn't wide. It was really long.
Correct. Yeah, and we had to take it was hard to find the portage too for whatever reason. It wasn't that easy. But that was a fun leg though. It was clean, clear water. We tried
no wind again.
No wind. Yeah, it was the first day was perfect.
Pretty awesome.
The first day was perfect. So we you had lunch, first lunch, coffee, jump on the canoe. Yeah. Here we go again, back on the canoe. Then it was just a 500-meter portage. I think it was something like this. I think it was 500 meters. And then we got into another lake that was a decent size. But the other thing too is when we crossed that, what happened after is now we had like 3 portages back to back to back.
Yeah.
And those were extremely deceiving because from reading the map, you would have expected to paddle a lot more in between each of those. But little did you know,
you don't.
Honestly, it was a 3-kilometer portage, like
separated by 100 meters lake, pretty much.
Maybe one of them was a swamp that was like you could have thrown a football across. It was so small, and it was such a buggy area.
Yeah.
Remember, like it was just so buggy, and that's when. But you know what helped us out a lot once we got there? Because let's be honest, like I was tired, you were tired.
Definitely.
Like we're physically exerting ourselves in like plus 30 Celsius weather, like, and there's just not that much time to swim and cool down either. Obviously, we're drinking water, snacks as we go, but it's like we do have to travel. Yeah. In a sense that we have plans to meet Al, and I think it's on the first portage where we needed him the most. Who doesn't show up?
Freaking Big Al.
Fucking Big Al.
What is bear bell going?
Yeah.
I could hear him. Yeah.
So that was
But that was a surprise. Big. That was big. It was big.
That was a surprise.
And it was a surprise because we were supposed to meet on Slide Lake.
And just figure a way to find each other.
Exactly.
Like we had no idea, right?
Like we'll do every freaking campsite on the lake.
Yeah, and he has like an orange canoe. We knew he was just gonna put it out anyway, so we
because that motherfucker has a Swift. Okay, that's a 26-pound canoe. People, you lift that with 2 fingers, and that's not a euphemism. It's actually true. You lift the canoe with 2 fingers.
It's man, it's such a nice ride.
It is. It is. It's like an F1.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. It's a mix between, it's an hybrid between a canoe and a kayak. So you got the shape of a canoe, but you sit in the middle on the floor like a kayak, and you got to paddle like a kayak too.
Yeah, and
Man,
to try, it's definitely the best option for portaging because they're so light, they're small, they're maneuverable. And honestly, there comes a point where it's nice to be alone in your own boat.
Yeah.
So we can all go fishing. Yeah. So, or we can all be next to each other rather than talking over the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But
that's a $4,000 or $5,000 canoe. That's what the butt is.
Yeah. And no, well, that is the number one butt. But you and I had that conversation before as well. That I love to paddle a canoe. Like if we go on a lake and there's a kayak and a canoe and I'm alone. Yeah. I take 100% of the time the canoe alone because
I'll take the kayak.
I just enjoyed the technicality of being able to maneuver a canoe on your own, like the J stroke, the C stroke. Yeah. Like I enjoy that complexity of the paddling. Pretty sure you would be faster than me on a kayak. Like
depending on the kayak, like my kayak is a fishing kayak. It's not made to go fast because there's so much friction. It's so wide.
Correct.
But you can't flip the thing though.
Yeah.
And I can stand up on it, and there's no worries, you know.
Yeah, but if you think of Big Al, he was keeping up with the two of us paddling in our canoe.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So if you have a good kayak, you can definitely go faster than a single canoeer. But the point is, I always like it. But then, although it would be hard for me to go on a canoe trip and not paddle an actual canoe like you paddle a canoe, the benefits of having a little pack boat like that, I think it's a Swift or something like that.
It is.
It's just like,
it's humongous. Well, there's a reason why Joe Robinette uses that.
Yeah.
Like
all the big guys, that's what they're in it. Yeah.
Well, if you're alone and you're going to be doing portages, that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's the Cadillac of canoes.
Yeah.
That is really what you want. But then you cannot be two people. Like that version
in the same canoe
won't work. Well, you know what? I say that. I went fishing with Al
in his canoe.
In his canoe. We were sitting on. We took his paddle. We just because it's a kayak paddle, right? So we just opened it.
It comes apart.
It comes apart. Took half a paddle because we were sitting on the floor. So you really don't want much bigger than half a paddle. And imagine the speed we could get with that.
No kidding.
It was insane.
No kidding.
We were drifting. We managed to drift. I don't know if you can understand the feeling of drifting with a canoe on water. It's insane. It's just we were going so fast. If you hit the brake like hard, you'll turn and then you'll just like keep on dragging.
Oh, you'll keep on dragging.
You're just drifting.
And that thing floats in like an inch of water, right? It's just so perfectly designed.
Yeah, just like a kayak would. You know, it's really amazing. But though it's one of the most unstable canoe I've ever tried. Like it's so narrow.
Yeah, but you're sitting so low in it.
Yeah, but that's the point. You're supposed that's the point.
But that anyway, is definitely the Cadillac.
So we find Big Al on the trail, and we're just like, how the hell are you already here?
Yeah.
Like,
well, he had a much shorter day than us.
But still, I mean,
he did it twice. Yeah. So that was still a good day for him. Yeah.
But he did. What a nice guy.
Yeah.
He was like, he got to the lake much faster than we did.
Yeah.
Right. He got there first. Found an island with a campsite on it.
Beautiful campsite.
Chop some wood. Process some wood. Okay, that's good. Then he looks at his watch and he's like, well, I know the route they would take.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's not so many ways they could like show up at the same spot. So I'm gonna go and try to find them. And if by 6 o'clock I did not find them, I'll just turn around and go back to the camp. Right. Yeah. So that was his mindset. And he like find us at like 3:30, something like that.
Something like that.
Like super quickly find out.
And we got there at 7, right? So,
and we got there at 7.
That's insane. So, but he did a big portion, but we needed him then in a sense that it just
Mental boost.
The energy level just went right back up because we were right starting that 3 portage sequence that was going to be basically 3 kilometers plus.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that. We were expecting to have a bit more breaks in between, right? So we went out and he's like, okay. And so he could kind of reassure us of what's to come, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We had a scout at that point. That's what it was. We literally had a scout at that point.
So we finished that, did the last 2 legs, the last few portages, and finally made it to Outer Slide Lake to the camp. And then it was like, okay, let's set up. Did we set up or did we go just swimming right off the bat? I think we set up.
We set up.
And then we just all went swimming because we just needed to cool down. But those late evening swim, when it was like a plus 30 degrees Celsius, plus 35 all day. Yeah. The sun is low, so it's just not hitting you the same way, right?
No,
and it's like
just perfect.
Light until like 9 p.m., 8:30, 9 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
Those swim like they're the best.
And
they're
we did.
Just
and we perfect. Did the temperature, like even at night, was so perfect. Like I know you pitch your tent, we both pitch our Amex, and then you were like, you guys want to do a podcast?
Yeah.
Like you just.
That's the first episode of the PE podcast.
Yeah. Exactly. And we're like, sure, let's talk about the stupid, epic freaking trip we did in the Northwest Territories without. Actually, it's just. Well, maybe one day we'll talk about that, or just go listen to the first episode.
You guys did a good job at really taking us through your entire journey of like from home to home. Like, the entire thing. And that was the first episode of the PE podcast. It was me, Pierre Antoine, well, you obviously, and Big Al sitting around the fire. Yeah. And the shot is like kind of perfect. And the sound quality is awesome. And it was an epic night.
It was.
We just sat there around the campfire. I had my little thermocell, the little mosquito repellent thing. We had a nice fire, no mosquitoes around us. And I think we podcasted for an hour and a half. Yeah,
we went like over the top. And that's so I don't understand how come it went so well during that evening. Like you just said, like there was no mosquitoes, and yet we did like freaking 5 portages where there was a ton of mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And like, sure, we were on an island, but like there was a lot of stuff going on that island, like a lot of trees, a lot of there were mosquitoes if you were going outside of the bubble of the fire in your thermocell. But even then, usually you would get like
you can hear the mosquitoes in the mic. If you listen to the podcast with earbuds, you can hear the mosquitoes going into the mic. Zzz, but we're not once one of us is swatting away a bug. Not once.
And usually
those thermocell works really well.
I gotta say, man, I start to be a believer for those because I'm the one that the mosquitoes wants the most. I don't know what's in my blood, but they love it. And none of them went for me. None of them. So
no, nothing. That was a perfect evening. But during that evening, we podcasted. Then we had a little bit of wine. Mm-hmm. And then we came to think, like we started to talk and kind of like try to figure out what was going to be what and how.
Is it the evening where like you screwed up with the bear bag a little? Like you broke a branch string, your bottle or something to pull install the rope for the bear?
That's the next evening. Okay. That's the next thing. That's a perfect. We'll get to that. No, that night that's when you tripped though over the bear bag. So we had set up the bear bag and the rope started to run, and instead of letting it run, you just decided to dive for the rope. And you twisted a little bit of your ankle.
That's what
right.
happened.
I forgot about that.
No, that was huge.
That was huge in the next step.
That changes you. I said at the beginning of this episode, no plan, survive first contact. Well, our plan was like one night with Big Al, and then we go on our way, and he goes on his, and that was that. And it was told to meet a friend in the middle of a park,
Exactly.
But then I twisted my ankle. Because I'm dumb. Really, like that was
it's just like reflex, right? Like you see something go away, you want to catch it, but.
And then I was like, Marty, there is like I'm looking at the map. I'm looking at the portage as well.
And there's like
3,500
meters.
No,
No, there's like 3,500
portage, and I'm just like, but I cannot do it. Like my ankle will not. It's not gonna work.
I'll be super honest. I mean, like earlier, you said that I was a tank, and I'll take the compliment. I'll take the compliment, but I was very happy not to have to do the rest of the trip the way we had planned it after the first day. Because the other thing too is because I was coming out of the construction, I was actually pretty physically drained, and I wasn't fit the way
you are right now.
Yeah, because when you're building a house, like it's not the same kind of fitness level. Yes, you're moving a lot, and your calorie expenditure is high. Fair enough, but you're not training to travel. To carry weight on your back, to lift heavy things. It's just different. You really have to train towards the activity you want to do.
Definitely.
So anyway, so when you said that, I was like, yeah, man, I'm pretty fucking burnt as well.
Okay. Like, but then that's a big twist, because we got to know that there's two options at this point. Well, there was three. Option one is we keep to the plan. But that was not on the table for me. Like I couldn't handle that. Option two is we go back on our step and just repeat yesterday.
But over 3 days.
Over 3 3 days.
Which would have been a lot easier.
Probably. Yeah, definitely. That's not even But I'm saying probably just because I'm like, well, with my ankle, like a third of that day would have been insane anyway. And the last option was like, hey, Big Al, you were at door 6, right? With a car, right?
With the car.
With the car. So
no, you were planning on being here for 3 days.
We were there for 4.
Do you have food for a 4th day, perhaps?
Because
some for me?
Because Marty forgot to bring enough. Well, no, he didn't plan it for enough food.
It's because
but Big Al did.
It's because, man, these dry food companies, like, they kill me a little bit because they're so expensive.
They are.
They're so expensive. And they're convenient, but there's other solutions. We'll talk about them on another show, but they're so expensive. And then I was just happy to try a different company, and it's not their fault. I didn't read. Like, I'm just so used to like the Alpine, what is it? The Alpine and Mountain House.
Oh yeah. And those big known company that make
and they're all pretty similar, right? Like you'll hit an 800 calorie, like if you get a 2-portion, it's a close 800 or 900 calories. Add water, move on. So this new company I was trying, which their food was good. So I don't want to like,
you're not bashing them.
Bashing on them. It's just like, I didn't read all the stuff at the back, and I'm like finding myself with like 300 calorie dinners when I might have spent 5,000 in a day. Like, I'm like, dude, this is not gonna, like, it was just like, and I mean,
Marty likes to fast. I'm just saying, Marty likes to fast. I was looking at your choices. I was like, I guess this is in his plan. He likes to fast.
No, I did not read the labels properly. I just figured, like, if this one is $14, this one is $14, it'll be the same product. Not at all.
No, but yours, probably much more healthier.
Sure, less
and stuff like that. Much more tasty.
Any dry food that has an expiration date within 2 years of what you buy it is significantly healthier than something that will last for 55 years.
There's no debate.
There's no debate. Whatever they put in there to make it last that long, that kills you a little bit every time you eat.
It's the same thing that they use for the McDonald's fries. I'm just saying. It's probably something near that.
Al being a free-spirited mind.
Yeah.
And just an easygoing guy. He's just like, I can make this work. The hell. And he just has a big bag of food with, like, he never empties it. I think he just keeps buying stuff, puts it in there, and just carries the whole thing.
You're absolutely right. He doesn't know what he has in his bag. He just knows there's a shitload of it because it's heavy.
Like if it's whatever the line of fill, he's like, if it's there, I know I can last for a long time, so I always keep it there. That's just what he does.
That's just what he does. And that's cool. That's kind of a cool system, because it's always a surprise for him. Doesn't know what he's
sure.
going to be eating. He's just like, oh, today it's going to be this, and tomorrow, oh, it's going to be that. I will
But
never travel
that's
like
how
that.
Al bailed us out.
Absolutely. He
And
had
made the trip so much better because now, let's be honest, like,
you got food in your stomach.
no, well, that, but like, dude, who doesn't want to go on a canoe trip with Al? Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I really appreciated our first date together because you and I don't get those that often. Like, often enough, you come camping with my kids, me and my kids, or you'll come camping with, we'll go out with the other guys, just the two of us. So I really appreciated that. But then I'm like, dude, this guy. Fucking adorable.
I love this guy. So easygoing. So easygoing. And the thing is, you people got to know, Big Al has a shit load of knowledge.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about him.
You don't have to worry about him. He's also trained for search and rescue in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Like, the guy knows what he's doing out there. Like, no worries. He's a plus. He's a one. Chris Hadfield talked about being a -1, a 0, and a 1. Go freaking read his book, people. An astronaut. A guide to be an astronaut. Man, amazing book. Anyway, Al is a 1 that
Canadian
like
hero.
0. Love my man, Chris. So anyway, so relaxed, always prepared, with a shit ton of know-how, and he does not put pressure on anyone ever, and he just goes with the flow. And it's just fun to have him. And we're like, okay. So next day, we're like,
we took the map out.
How can we do this? Like, how can we have fun now, knowing that now we're not the 2 of us, we're the 3 of us.
So the next day comes around.
Yeah.
And we kind of reevaluate our route. And it's just, the second day was awesome. The second day was so good because it was like, I think we traveled 4 kilometers. We stayed on the same lake. No portages. We fished all day. Didn't catch a fucking thing. Nothing.
Not a thing.
God, dick.
Shit. We got shit, people.
Man, I can't believe it. But anyways, it was just like one of those things. And I keep going back to my situation of being post building a house. Because when you're in that state of adrenaline all the time, working, you don't realize how tired you are until you actually pull back. And that day was that was like, oh yes, let's not do anything. You know what I mean? And let's just let Mother Earth heal me a little bit. Let's just like be part of this whole thing. Fish.
What did we do on that day? Is it the evening is it the day that it rained?
It is the day that it rained. We did nothing.
So
we did nothing. 4 or 5 kilometers of canoeing.
We did two. Well, people, there's always 2 reasons. We did 2. That's an inside joke. You're gonna be in that joke now. But we did 2 things that was really important. First of all, we fished like in the lake, like we freaking stripping our boxers and just went in the lake, water up to our belly, knee deep, even more than that, and we just cast it under the rain and enjoying it just for the hell of it. And until the
thunder hits,
and then we're like, let's get the fuck out.
Go back to the rock.
Go. That's one thing we did. And the second thing we did, I believe, was at the same place. We went for a little swim under the rain, and you did an epic job at imitating some gooses.
No, it wasn't geese. It
wasn't geese.
No, it was those loons.
Oh, it was loons. Yeah, it was a loon.
Yeah.
Your imitation
of a loon. There was a couple of loons. Yeah. Well, people have to go check it out right in the trip video because it's right in there.
It was dead on, and it made me laugh. It's in part one.
Of my trip video of the Algonquin Park. So if you guys check it out, I think it came out was it like 2nd week of January, 3rd week of January? It was one of my first videos this year that I posted.
But fair warning, it goes really quickly. Don't blink. But when you do it, Jesus, it was so good.
I was trying to mate.
Bringing them much closer.
A bit closer. Oh man,
Oh,
but
man.
that's that camping spot, and this is one of those situations where like it's one in a million in the sense that how the camera was rolling, it was pointing at the right place. The only thing is it's a tiny bit out of focus, but like
but
so
whatever,
I'm basically for the folks at home that haven't seen the trip video, I'm basically showing the camera how to properly hang a bear bag. And I say in the video that I'm not the best at hanging bear bags because I find finding the location of where I'm going to hang a bear bag extremely hard to find.
Yeah.
Like it's like by theory, it's so simple. Just like one branch out like 3 meters off the ground, 6 feet off the tree.
In a pine forest, that branch is hard to find. Yeah.
There's none of that, right? So anyway, so I find like so what I typically do, again, for the folks at home, and I explained it in the video, but my preferred technique in the Algonquin Park, is to bring, it's a 2-rope system with a pulley, right? So basically I'll anchor myself between 2 trees with a pulley in the middle and then just kind of lift up from there with another rope. And this way I can hang heavy, like really heavy stuff. And especially if we're all together, we can just kind of all like go on the same bear hang. And it's just like there's never not a spot to do that technique. So what I typically look for is some kind of like little Y in one place, Y in another place. And that's how I do my anchors. So I took the best trick for me that I find is if you don't have a rucksack, is you take a half, like just a quarter filled Nalgene bottle. That you tie a knot right on the loop, so you can use it to throw. So I set the camera up, I explained the technique, I throw the water bottle, I hit the small branch of the Y, and the fucking branch breaks off. And you can just see it in my face. I turn around and I look at the camera and I'm like, this is awesome. This couldn't have been better. I couldn't have planned
what
for
are
that.
the odds of that? You know? Like, what are the odds of that?
Don't do that. I already told you that I'm not really good at this. So,
oh man,
that was a funny one. But
I think it's also the first, in the trip there, it's the first time it's raining that we're like, okay, let's set up a tarp. Let's chill under the tarp while it's raining. And I'm like, I'll introduce you to the twig stove, sir.
To the firebox.
I put up my firebox, and you were like,
that's when you convinced me.
You know? Well, honestly,
that's where you convinced me.
At the beginning, your face was like, really? Like,
I did not believe that. Yeah. I did not believe in it.
It just worked. And you were like, holy, what? I need this in my life now.
Absolutely. Because I saw you boil water on there, and I'm like, oh, you don't need that hard of a fire to boil water. Like you just don't. Like you just need a little twig stove.
Yeah.
And I see you like you're just like you're not
picking
even
around
moving.
Me. Yeah.
Around you, pine needles, pine cone, couple of twigs, like the tiniest twigs, and I was like, "Whoa, this works really well." I had never tried it personally, really, so it was.
Well, you can't say you kind of did. I mean, you were feet away.
Yeah. And I had tried my BioLite twig stove before, but that thing was just so like
it's not
worked,
the same thing.
But it was just like it's not worth the effort, right?
So we had to move your tent, did we? No, that's another night.
No, that's the same night.
Is it the same night?
It rained so much, right? And everybody's like, you always want to find a flat spot, and you want to find a place where the drainage doesn't go under your tent, right? And you try your best, but honestly, it gets pretty hard. And the best place to do that, we picked it for the tarp.
Oh, you're right.
We picked it for the tarp, right? So I was like, and for me, it didn't matter. So what I did try, because there is a technique to help you. So if the water's going to run and go sit underneath your tent, the way to stop it is, so the water runs off the tarp of your tent, it lands on the ground, and then it'll run underneath you. Plus the water lands on the land.
Yeah.
And then it runs towards you. So in order to avoid those two drippings to go and sit underneath your tent, what you would want to do is at the perfect place with a twig or with anything, is to dig a bit of just a small V shape like this all around your tent to send the drainage around in the back.
You're right.
And that's a great technique. It's just so much easier said than done.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean?
You get twigs in the way. You get
like roots.
Roots, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Rocks. it's you know, it's so much easier said than done. So anyway, so we hung out under the tarp for hours just chatting. And then when I got into my tent, it was like, there's no material that'll withstand just being in a puddle of water, right? So it wasn't wet. Like it hadn't gone through, but it was so humid. You can tell when a material is becoming saturated, and it's just going to start eventually like going through. So I'm like, fuck. But what we did was perfect, because all we did, my tent, I have this little AliExpress tent. Now you can have it on Amazon, and it's a tent that I actually recommend highly. It's cheap, it's small. I pick it up with one hand, I moved it, and I put it right underneath the tarp, and it fits. Like, it's so small. Like, that thing is so it's freestanding. It's freestanding.
Well, to give a picture to people, that my tarp is a 3x3, like 3 meter by 3 meters by 3 meters tarp. Right. So your tent fits underneath and is actually covered like everywhere, fully.
It's perfect. So we just moved it there, and that was fine. But we did have to do that because my location wasn't ideal.
So what I understand from what you just said is people get a hammock.
Yeah.
You never get that issue with hammock.
You're absolutely right, but
no, I get it.
But a hammock is that one extra step for a beginner.
It's
one extra skill. You know
absolutely.
What I mean? Like there's a lot to learn, and I mean, like, people are.
And it's not everyone that can sleep well in a hammock as well.
I had the best sleep of my life in the hammock the next day.
I never all the time.
Yeah. But I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
You gotta try it. You gotta taste it before you say you don't like it, right?
Well, and no, for me, I never said I didn't like it or not. I hadn't tried it at the time of the trip. And then fast forward two more, or the next night. 1, 2, 3, 4
third night. Well, third day.
So it's the last evening of the trip, which was the next night, right? So we slept where we had to move my tent. We packed up the next day, and we had a decent day ahead of us, but not too crazy. Maybe 15 kilometers. It's just like a regular day.
Yeah.
And that day went pretty well. I don't remember a ton. Like, we fished. We tried fishing a little bit. We did go around a portage by like going down a creek that happened to have just enough water. That was nice.
We skipped nice. Like a 400-meter portage by doing that.
But then really the highlight of the next day is that we got to camp at 3.
Again, people, 2 things. We did 2 epic things at that camp.
Yes. And
you're going to name one. I'm going to say the second. Go.
Okay, well, I have to. Well, I have one as well. So there's multiple things that we did that was epic there.
Well, I think the one you're going to say is part of the 2 I'm thinking.
All right. Well, let's see.
Okay, we'll see.
I have like 4.
Damn.
Dude, I have that night was nice. It was the last night of the trip. We were out there. So we got to this camp spot. Okay, no, I remember all of them now. Sorry, I needed to think about it. But there's more to it. Like, for me, like, the last camp was nice because it wasn't a big day. It was like a 15-kilometer day. We left at 10 o'clock in the morning, probably got there around 4 o'clock at night. It was great. Yeah. So one thing we forgot to say is after our big 30-kilometer day, the next day we left at noon. But we had to go across the lake, right? We were so lazy though, but it felt pretty nice. Anyways,
we could do it. So
we got to camp. That camp, and there's a couple of things that we did that I really appreciate. We just shore fished for a while. Like, we all got to camp, and we all became extremely silent in a way where we all kind of did our little things individually, but as a whole, right? Everybody kind of contributed to the camp duties and everything by themselves. It was like we were already falling into a rhythm.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And when you get in those rhythm, it's nice. It's
is
really nice. Nobody needs to talk. It was just like, and it was such a calm, peaceful day. And we were in a bit of a bay. We were in a bay, and the wind was just going around. So there was no wind. I remember I actually did a little bit of yoga on one of the rocks. I meditated for a little bit. I fished on the side, and then
you did a power nap.
Yeah, I hung my hammock in between 2 trees that was just kind of leaning over the water a little bit.
Yeah.
So I had a power nap there, and then we swam that swim was nice, just with the canoe. We were just trying to what's that called, gunnel hopping, but the canoe's way too small. Al's canoe, we were just like actually
trying to figure out how to go back in the canoe if you
so we would like self-rescue, right? So we would tip on purpose, then we would self-rescue, how to like kind of throw it over and jump back in it.
I'll pause you right there, but that thing, like practicing how to go back in your canoe, people should be doing that, like,
or know how to do a T-rescue as well, right?
Well, and know how to do, if you're two boats, absolutely know how to do a T-rescue. But it's really cool that we did it, and it was a game, even for us. It was just a game. But it's like, this is how you practice your skill, people. And those are the skills you absolutely need to know if you're going alone.
In my opinion, and I mean, like, practicing your skills can be done in the field. 100%. They like, there is
in a safe environment. Absolutely.
There's, a lot of people, what they don't understand is there's a lot of downtime when you go out camping. And in those downtimes, you can, like I said, I did a little bit of yoga, I meditated, I just kind of chilled because I needed that. But you can also like be practicing how to make feather sticks and how to start fire properly. And like, there's a lot of skills to be practiced if you're, like you said, already in a safe situation where everything else is covered, right? You already brought your fire starter, all this stuff, but now it's like, okay, well, I have time on my hands. Let's practice my skills, right?
And you're not going to be doing that at home. So this is the time to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So, no, that was a neat spot, neat thing that we did there. And then I think what the kicker was the sweat lodge, obviously.
Yeah, it was pretty freaking epic.
The sweat lodge,
I love that.
And then the midnight swim that we had after.
Explain the sweat lodge. Like, how do you do a sweat lodge?
So
for people at home there.
So it's fairly simple. What you want to do is as soon as you get to camp, you'll want to start your fire, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously get a nice fire going that's really hot, and then you throw some rocks in the fire. Like some decent sized rocks that you can carry around, but that are not too small, not too big, right? Just decent sized rocks.
And the thing that we use grills, we brought grills, and I think there was actually some on site too.
Yeah,
because
we forgot to bring gloves.
But that's the thing. Once the rock is hot, you can't touch it with your hand.
No, you're gonna burn yourself. Yeah.
You're gonna burn.
You can cook a steak on that rock.
Oh,
like if you, you can definitely do that. So anyways, but you throw like, I don't know, 5-6 good sized rocks in the fire. You let it burn all day, all night that you're there. And then what you do is you want to do a teepee shape shelter
with a tarp.
With a tarp, which that requires a little bit of practicing and know-how and all that. But that's, again, a great way to practice your skill, right? So you're going to set up a teepee shape or a way for you to basically tarp yourself off and not let any of the air come out. And when it's time at the end of the night, like the last thing we did right before going to bed for us was we took those rocks and we managed to find some grills. So we were carrying them on grills. We throw them in the shelter. So you have like 4 or 5 really hot rocks that you would burn yourself if you touch it. And then you just bring some water right from the lake. You close the door of the tarp, and then you sit there, and then you just pour the water on top, and then the steam it's a sweat lodge. It's just you
got a sauna at home.
It's a big steam room, right?
Yeah.
And then you just
enjoy it.
You just enjoy it. It's just like, dude, we're in the middle of the woods and we're having a sweat lodge right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's just pretty boss, right?
And then what did we do after that? Because we were like, okay, it'd be nice to cool down a little.
Well, and also like wash the sweat off of you. Right?
Yeah.
Obviously, so then we all decided to go for a swim, and that swim is one of my most unique experiences I've ever experienced in my life.
That's both of us.
Like
for both of us, to be honest.
So for the folks at home, it was perfect night, clear sky, no moon. Okay, so what does that mean? Is that there's nothing obstructing the view to as much stars as possible, basically.
Yeah.
And as much as both of us live outside of the city, so we do get a nice starry night.
Nothing
home.
like that. Yeah.
Nothing like in the
like
middle
that.
of the wilderness. Like nothing.
Wow.
But if we would have been there on a full moon, it wouldn't have been the same thing because the moon hides so much of it, right?
Definitely.
Just the light of the moon. So we're swimming just to shore, and for all the folks, it's like it might be midnight. It's pitch black dark. We're super safe though. Like I always say that to people. Like, no, but it's safe that we're in the bay. But we always swim with our life jackets, daytime or nighttime, because not because we can't swim. I mean, I'm an ex-swimmer. Like I used to swim in college, but it's
that has
just
nothing to do with it.
Why would I want to work to tread water when I can just float sitting in the life jacket? Right?
We I think we wore them like they were.
Yeah. You wear them like a diaper, and
like a diaper. Exactly.
You just stand and you float. It's the best way, and it's safe, right? Like because if you have a cramp out there, especially when it's dark and it's late, like you can accident can happen for drowning. So being smart. So we're all wearing our life jackets, and then we're swimming, and I'm like, boys, look at the sky. Right?
You got the Milky Way just shining out there. You see that
like
big line across the sky.
And I was like, whoa. And then I think I'm the one who had the idea. I'm like, dude, let's swim in the middle of the bay and just lean back. So what? And that was the experience that was insane because we just swam with our life jackets and there's no motorboats or anything out there. So it's not like it's dangerous. And we just floated on our backs.
Yeah.
Water all the way up to here.
Yeah. To hear people's our face for the moment.
To our faces. So basically the only thing out of the water is your eyes, your nose, your mouth.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Right? Your ears are in the water. Yeah. And then we're just floating, like doing like a star in the water. And for 360, the entire horizon of what you could see was the sky full of stars. Like you couldn't see the tree line from that perspective.
But I got shivers right now.
Dude, it was insane. Yeah. Like it was a once in a lifetime experience that I'm going to chase from now on. Like knowing that I just, you know what I mean? Like
live that? I want to live it again.
Of course. It was such a humbling moment.
You know what?
You know what I mean?
Now that I know this kind of feeling and experience and sensation is right there, available, like at our fingertips, almost on every outing we do near a lake. I'm just like, the next epic thing would have been like to wear a wetsuit.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it got cold.
It was getting cold.
It was getting cold quite quickly. And I mean, we can endure cold water for a while, but it's just like, you don't want to be like
shivering
the cold and enjoying the view at the same time. You just want to be blah.
Yeah.
And not feeling the water, not feeling the atmosphere, the air around you. You just want to like live,
float, and take it all in, right?
Take it all in. Like with a wetsuit, that would have been possible.
It's the best way to explain it. It's like it was my first time experiencing infinity.
Oh, that's so well said.
You know what I mean? Like it was just so I couldn't understand it looking at it. I was like, and I've slept under the stars so many times. I mean, my dad and I used to, especially during the shooting star season in August, we used to always sleep outside, check out the stars in really dark places. But the experience of floating in a lake where like I said, the entire view, like if you're sitting if you're laying down in a field, for example, it has to be a pretty big field for you to be in the middle of the field where when you're laying down, you don't see anything but stars. Yeah. Like you have to understand when I say you don't see anything else but stars is you don't see the tree line. You don't see the shoreline. You only see sky from being laying down. You know what I mean? Like you only see sky.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at it and you're like, I am so small.
I am.
We're just part of that thing, right?
I'm a grain of sand in there.
And for me, I like it. I like experiencing these kinds of situations. I find that they're very humbling. Hey, that's my Jim Beam, isn't it?
It is, buddy. Marty left that at my home.
Yeah, so I left a bottle of Jim Beam and I just saw him pour. So, I mean, that
So
was one of my craziest experience. I am looking forward to make people experience that. It just
imagine
like,
you got the chance because you raise your children because you got two little girls that are awesome, and you raise them to thrive with the outdoor. They really do like going like camping, even if it's in
oh
the
yeah,
backyard.
yeah.
Like the time,
You know, Rosie,
yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off. Rosie, that she tells me all the time, I don't want a house. I want to be camping for the rest of my life. That's what she tells me all the time.
This is like, sir, you just win. You won the game of life right there. You raise your child to love camping and being outside. And
Yeah.
the thing that I want to say that I'm going to is that you will be able to give that precious memory to your kids. They
Yeah.
will want to go at midnight in the
Of
lake,
course. Yeah.
like when they'll be old enough, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
But
they're
man,
pretty small
those.
right now. But like, it's so it's a gift, you know. Like that there's a saying like giving the present is the gift.
Yeah.
It's giving that's the gift,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the giving crazy memories, crazy
Yeah.
special memories to someone. It's priceless, and you'll be able to give that to your kids. And I'm so glad that you said like, oh, traveling with Big Al. Like I loved you, buddy, but traveling with Big Al
Yeah.
too, because
Yeah.
it's just the fact that we both love to share our
That
experiences with
experience.
people
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
give a chance to people to live those experiences.
Absolutely. Well,
And that's just so cool. So
I'm
cool.
a huge believer that the world would be much different if we understood how precious Mother Nature is,
Mm.
and how healing it can be,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
how you
definitely.
can
Yeah.
find a whole different kind of peace out there,
Yeah.
those split moments, right? And you know, I try to teach this to my kids because it means that much to me, but I got it from my dad. Like I mean, like one of my favorite memories with my dad was him and I going down La Rivière Noire, and we were sitting on the beach. It was Percid, well,
Yeah.
which is a shooting star season. I can't remember what the name in English is for that, the August season. And I can remember it, like I can remember it so much. I can be there when I want to be
Mm-hmm.
there. You know what I mean? Like if the Black River is just like a windy river.
Yeah.
S's the whole way down, and
Yeah.
it's got beach. Every turn of the river is like a sandy beach. It's just precious. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then because it's those beaches, you have these massive logs from time to time, like drift logs, right? That are dry. So you had one of them logs kind of like half in, kind of sticking out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And him and I, we were laying down our heads like against that log in the sand, and we just, that was another star experience. It was different. It was also like a special moment because you share that with someone. Yeah, you know, in my case with my dad, and it was just like him and I still remember, like he was telling me the story that he used to talk with his dad. They used to have a conversation that would be, if a flying saucer was to land in front of you, would you go in, or would you, you know, and you were invited in,
Or
would you go in or
run
not,
away.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, UFO, right? And just shooting the shit, like just to talk for talking, but that concept of infinity,
But
what you see has no end,
yeah.
and the possibilities are infinite,
Uh-huh.
and that feeling of understanding that you need to, that humbling feeling of being part of something so big when you're so small, and just being able to share that. It sounds silly. I don't know how to explain it. I've been looking for the words to explain this. This is one of the most precious moment I have with my dad.
It's a huge reality check on
Yeah.
on your ego.
On your ego, yeah. I think
Really,
that's a lot
that's
of it
what
is that, yeah.
It's a real big reality check on your ego, and then you understand also that, okay, I'm small in this. There's so much, and I'm so small in it, but I still have a part in it.
You do, and you need to be so appreciative of it.
Exactly.
Right? That's what
you need to
for me that it gives me.
And you need to be responsible of that part.
Yeah, so for sure.
That's
because they're all building blocks that work together in some weird way, and we're all interfering with each other in a way that nobody understand, but somehow we all have an impact on each other. So being appreciative of the people that you have, of the situation that you're in, and right now is a crazy situation with the coronavirus around us all being locked down. I have not, and we had that conversation, I have not had such a social life since I'm stuck at home. That's
weird.
Sunday morning, I took the time to call 6 people. When's the last Sunday morning I took the time to call anyone? You know what I mean? But these moments grounds you like that. They remind you that people are precious around you. They remind you that the things that you have, you need to be appreciative of them, and that that everything is kind of sheer luck, because the fact that you and I live in Canada, and that we're white, and that we're male, and that we come from mid-income family, whatever, middle class families, none of that you asked for.
No, you don't.
You just got it. You just got it. So how fucking precious is life within that when you get to experience it like that, right? And these experiences, to me, that's what they remind me, because they just humble me so much, because I'm like anyone else. I have my ego. I have my ego that I'm constantly fighting about. I have my own competitiveness inside of me that's really brings you nowhere in life. It doesn't it does, but it doesn't. You know what I mean? It's just it. So it just kind of grounds you, and I got that from my dad through that experience, that very specific experience, in my opinion. And really, that's all I'm trying to do. And last summer, I got to. The thing is that the kids are so young; they can't grasp these. They can enjoy the moment, but they can't grasp the big picture, right? But last summer we did have the opportunity when we went to Parc La Vérendrye, which will be coming out soon, the trip where we all laid down on the beach. It was during the Perseid, so the shooting stars in August, and we all laid down, and every kid, so I was there with my nephew and both my kids, every kid saw a shooting star. And I mean, when you're 6, or when you're at the time 6 and 7, there's not a lot of kids that get to say that they can do that. So I take a lot of pride in that, to make them live those experiences, because I think they're valuable. But
you know what, my dad was, I believe he's 69, so I got to make something big for his next birthday. My dad's 69, but he asked me, I want to go do a camping trip with my son. He's 69, people.
Nice.
I'm like, we're not gonna go do a 30K freaking epic. No, but it doesn't matter.
Cross a lake, set up a hammock.
Exactly. Right. But he, at 69, he still wants to create those kind of memories with his son.
Yeah.
And awesome. I'm just like, there is something very, very unique and special about. I mean, we could just go and chill on his couch.
Yeah.
And have a talk. Have a good father and son talk. But no. He wants to go camping in the outdoor.
If you can plan it a little bit with the moon and the weather, to try to get a new moon, which is basically no moon at all. Yeah. And there's something to be done for sure with that.
Absolutely, awesome. Absolutely.
So anyways, to come back to the trip now.
We were talking about it.
we had that experience, which was great. Then we came out of the water. We hung out by the fire we went to bed late that night for hours. Yeah. And then I had my first experience, because I decided right there and then that I was going to sleep in my hammock.
You did?
Which I had
a cowboy night in the
because I had nothing above me. It was just I cowboy camped it. And then what I did, because I had the Costco hammock, which is not designed to sleep in because it makes too much of a banana, right? And that's uncomfortable to sleep. The hammock, my understanding is the hammock that you would sleep in, sleep in. They're done in a way that you sleep.
They're asymmetrical. That's what they call it.
So and then you sleep across,
diagonal, right?
Across. Diagonally, that's what it is. So anyway, but by doing what I did is I took my sleeping pad, put it in there diagonally, slept in it, and I could get actually fairly flat.
That's pretty good.
And fuck, I had the best night of my life on that thing. I don't sleep really well. I don't hide that. I don't have a good sleep camping. I personally don't. I'm a little.
I do. Oh,
you fucking lights out and you're gone. You're the first one to snore every time. For me, I love being out in the woods.
Yeah.
Like I love it, but I'm always on my toes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Every little sound you're like.
I hear every little sound.
Yeah.
I look. I'm a jumpy person. Like Nat constantly scares the crap out of me, and she's like, "Dude, I just said hi." So like my sense are heightened in the woods, and it's kind of funny because I'm super comfortable with it.
Yeah.
It just is. So I don't sleep a ton, and sleeping on the ground, like I for the way I'm shaped too, the size of my shoulders, I have such a big, I have such a big gap between my neck and my shoulder. I need such a big pillow to be able to sleep on my side, but I can't sleep on my back because I'm so uncomfortable. So for me, like when I go camping, I know I don't sleep. It's just part of it, and I've accepted it. But man, then I slept in the hammock, and I was like, oh man. This was the best sleep of my life. I couldn't believe it.
So you got home, you sold your bed, you just installed 2 hook. Everyone sleeps in a hammock now.
I know for sure I'm gonna get a hammock set up. The reason why I'm not getting one is because I still think that I need to sleep with the kids at their age, in case they need me, right? But for me, it's like for me over time, everybody's gonna be independent. Everybody's going to have their own boat. Everybody's going to have their own tent. Everybody, like, it's like no 4-person tent. Everybody has their own single tents. So when that split happens, I'm for sure going in a hammock. For sure going in a hammock.
But you know what? If you'd be fair with them, you would make them try a hammock before they buy. Before you buy,
because we have enough tents to go right now where they could both sleep in the tent and I'm in the hammock when they get a certain age. Because the kids, like, I mean, I don't know where it's gonna go when they're older, but right now, like, there's no way I can make them sleep in separate rooms.
Oh no, definitely.
They're constantly like they're just fine, like, and they sleep in the same bed, like
they're twins.
They have bunk beds, right? Yeah, they have bunk beds. And I get in there, I'll go, every time I go to bed, I always check on them just before I go to bed, like midnight, 1 a.m. And they're constantly both sleeping in the top bunk. And like, good for them. Like, it's fun. Like, I don't really care. I think it's awesome. So most likely I'll be kicked out of the tent. That's probably what's going to happen. They'll kick me out of the tent. I'll leave in my 2-person tent and I'll just have some wicked sleeps in the hammock.
But you know what? You're definitely right. They will kick you out of the tent. I remember when I was like 14, 15.
Oh, God.
I would have, the night we would spend
12.
in the tent, 12, just laughing so much, saying shit because we don't know anything about life. We're 12 years old. And it's such good memories. Of course you want to have that. You don't want to be alone. You're like, I could be talking with my brother or my sister right now.
Yeah, of course.
I could be having fun with my friend right now. And I'm stuck in the freaking, what is this? And then you just shout, buddy.
Yeah. Buddy.
You sleeping? Not sleeping. What you doing? Did you hear that? Want to play cards? I gotta take him out.
But that was a crazy night. So anyway, that was awesome. The next day we packed up. We didn't have that long to go, but dude, Canoe Lake was on fire with white caps. Holy cow.
White caps. And it was warm too. It was super warm.
Well, I was afraid that the thunderstorm was going to come around, right? When you feel the wind shifting side, the humidity built up over a couple of days, you're like, fuck. Right?
And the white caps
it's coming.
Showed up. Yeah. But as you said, we're good. We're seasoned paddlers. The white caps were like we're more fun than anything else.
No, they weren't dangerous at all. You just have to aim properly, and you're fine. It's just it's harder to paddle. So portages were pretty easy, but
we were lucky because on Piengo, on the first lake, we could have a shitload of white caps easily. It would have made our life so much harder.
Yeah.
So much harder, and it was super beautiful. And then this lake was quite small comparing to Opingo.
Oh yeah.
The last
It's
one,
still
like
a
Canoe
decent
Lake.
sized lake.
It is, but the
Yeah.
section with the white caps was not
Yeah.
like a
for sure.
big section. So we got through that one still. But yeah, I mean, the wind was pretty there, pretty up in our face.
Yeah.
The
for
wind
sure.
is never in your back. Did you notice that?
No, it's never that.
Never,
It's because you
never
can't
in your
feel
back.
it when it's in your back, right?
It's
I think that's
never in
the
your back.
problem.
So
And that
you
kind
know
of
when it's when it's in your face.
but that
So,
kind of
yeah.
wraps up that whole trip. Like then
It
we
did,
got to
yeah.
Canoe Lake Outfitter.
Yeah. You drove back
Al-
with Al to get your
yes.
car, and I stayed behind with the gear and
came back and then
Yeah.
packed up and out we go. And then I mean, that was a fucking phenomenal trip. It was an amazing trip. And so much so we're gonna be doing it again. It was the longest I actually hung out in the Algonquin Park, personally.
Me too, I believe.
I did a decent amount of canoeing, but for me, that was only my second time in the Algonquin Park. And I did a ton of canoe tripping. I just never went there for whatever reason.
And it's such an awesome park too.
It's an amazing park. So this summer we're gonna go back. Hopefully everything's gonna flatten out with the coronavirus and everything's gonna kind of
touching wood, people.
Move away because we could be doing this for 6 months still. Who knows, right? Like literally, who knows? But if things go the way they should be going, the nice thing is that we should be able to go with the kids for probably 4 days. But I'll bring you up in the Parc La Vérendrye because that's another beautiful one. That's another beautiful, beautiful park, and just as world class as Algonquin. Just as world class. They have 14 days loop routes already marked in there. 14 days.
You're talking my language.
Yes, me too. One day.
For sure.
And then we're definitely gonna go back. We had said for late fall probably.
Mm-hmm.
Like mid-October to early November, I would say, where we're gonna go rip in the Algonquin Park again, and for another 4 days probably. It's a good time to kind of get used to everything, travel enough, and have like a couple of really fun nights around the campfire as well.
Yeah.
Right. So
definitely.
But yeah, that wraps it up, man.
Yeah, man. Well, I want to let know to people that they can subscribe. If they're looking through YouTube, subscribe. Tell us in the comment section what kind of shit you'd like us to talk about, because we got a vast amount of experience that we can go in. If you're on Spotify, leave a like. If it's on iTunes, because it's going to be on iTunes really soon, leave a review or what the heck you do on iTunes. Do all of that stuff. Rate it. It will make a big difference for us. And then we'll know what you want to hear and we'll just talk about it, because that's what we do. That's what we do. All right. See you, buddy.
Cheers.